Good afternoon, everybody. Might not be afternoon when you watch this, but it's afternoon now. Welcome to another iteration or edition of Matthew's Monthly Housing Market Minute. This week, we're going to talk about, or this month, rather, we're going to talk about the 5 to 7 year rule. A lot of homeowners, clients, past clients, etc., that I've talked to lately seem overly concerned with the correction in our hyper-local housing market. Values have declined depending on which county and service area you're in, anywhere from 5% to 25% or more, depending on what type of property you own. There's a silver lining to all this, and that it's directly applicable to the 5 to 7 year rule. What is the 5 to 7 year rule? History doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And a broken clock is right twice a day. These are cliche sayings that clients have probably heard me say in the past, and they're true totally. We know them to be true. When the housing market corrected between 2004 and hit rock bottom in September of 2009, everybody this side of the universe thought that that was the big one and home values would never come back. Invariably, they did. Now, they took a historically long time to do so because we just had the biggest correction that we'd ever seen in the housing market to date. Values in our hyper-local housing market in the Tampa Bay area fell by 74%. And it took us from September of 2009 until approximately 2020 before the values returned to and exceeded what they were in 2007, which was about the peak of our last housing market prior to correction. Now, in 2020, when interest rates went to zero, we saw 2 years of hyper appreciation. Property values exceeded 20% appreciation per year for 2 years in a row, and then continued to appreciate after April 2022, which was the zenith of our market. They continued to appreciate a little bit while the market started to correct. Inventory compounded, so on and so forth. So where does the 5 to 7 year rule fall into this, and what exactly is it? Historically, we know that housing market corrections, except for the last one, which was the big one, likened to the Great Depression, you only see 1 or 2 of those in a lifetime. Customarily, though, property or housing market corrections don't exceed a 5 to 7 year span. In other words, if you're going to buy a home and when you buy that home, your goal is, I'm going to sell this home in 1 to 2 years. If you're concerned about what you might be able to sell the home for on that second year or whenever it is you decide to sell in that 1 to 2 years, don't buy. We can't make any guarantees that a market will appreciate in a 1 to 2 year time span. What we can, however, guarantee is that somewhere on a 5 to 7 year time frame, statistically speaking, if you buy a home somewhere in 5 to 7 years, you will be able to exit in a net proceed positive manner, meaning you'll be selling for more than you bought for. Again, exceptions to the rule, like the big one from 2004 to 2009. But on the whole, statistically speaking, housing market corrections don't exceed that time frame. And in most cases, most housing market corrections are shorter than 5 to 7 years. We experienced a housing market correction in our hyper-local area in 2017 to 2018. And then in December of 2018, when the Federal Reserve decreased more interest rates in December of 2018, the housing market started chugging along again, and then we had COVID in 2020. So this is what the 5 to 7 year rule means. So in short and in summary, if you come to me and your goal is to buy a property and guarantee a return on your investment or to sell it for more than you bought it for, and you're only going to stay there for 1 to 2 years, there's no realtor this side of the universe that can make that guarantee to you. But if you came to me and you said, Matthew, I intend to stay in this home for a minimum of 5 to 7 years, then it doesn't matter when you buy, because at some point in time on that time scale, you will be able to exit by all leading and lagging indicators in a better position than you bought in at. That's the 5 to 7 year rule. And lastly, directly comparing what property values have done to where they've corrected, we're still selling properties for more historically than we ever have been able to in our local housing market. Property values increased from 2020 to approximately April of 2022, over 40%. And then they traded up a little bit from April 2022. Then they started declining in around 2023 in a dramatic fashion, but the decline has not exceeded the appreciation. Now, if you bought your property within the past 2 years, yes, you may owe more than it's worth. You may have to write a check to sell the property, as some people are right now. If you bought within the past 2 years, or at the end of 23-ish, mid to end of 23 to now, your home is no longer worth what you bought it for, as difficult as that is. But if you bought it in 20, 21, 19, 18, 17, 16, all the way back to 07, essentially, your home is worth dramatically more than it's ever been. You, my friend, have won the lottery. Hopefully this video helps today. Again, I'm going to try to truncate these market minutes, but want to get this information out as quickly as I can as the market continues to correct. So you guys have an amazing rest of your July, and we'll see you again in August. We'll see you.